Hello, what's up? What's going on? How y'all boy doing? Just wanted to say, what's up to everybody? But first things first, I know you could tell by the title about, when's the perfect time to get married? Because I know that, a lot of people definitely want to find that answer out. I apologize for speaking slowly, just trying to work out some technical things, making sure the sound is right and all that good stuff. But yeah, definitely people want to find out when is the perfect time to get married. And I mean, obviously, this is a relationship thing, and black relationships, especially, is a topic of very heated debate for some strange reason. And that plays a part, and I'm going to kind of tangent off every now and again, so I apologize in advance. But that's one of the things that I've noticed, unfortunately, in our black community, the community that I am in. It's the simple fact that too much attention seems to be given towards things that should have already been natural, things that should have already been established as far as what works and what doesn't. Obviously, if anyone wants to deviate from the script, they're welcome to, but you also accept the consequences that come with that. And there was back in the day, at least, a certain pattern, of how things went down. Most people, when they got married or got together, it was, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, before I get into that, let me shout out to everybody that is listening to this, is watching this, and will be watching this. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know I said that backwards. Don't worry about that. But one thing that obviously got me onto this topic and got me thinking about certain things and wanting to, drop my 2 cents on this motherfucker is the fact that, like I mentioned just now, that the black community, makes this a thing. It is a thing. A lot of YouTubers out there that I respect, that I watch, that I listen to, supporting in some cases, trying to be in all cases, because I need to do a video on that as far as brotherhood and how we need to, support each other's hustle, because that's the only way we can come up, But by saying that, I'm just saying shout out to those that are out there doing it. Matter of fact, I was watching a Jada Black video earlier. Shout out to Jada Black. He's from South Cac as well, So it's just one of them things that there's some dudes out there that's, doing their thing, and salute to you guys. Continue doing your thing, because hopefully you are definitely teaching and inspiring, those that are younger than you. And the crazy part about it is even some motherfuckers that are older than you. That's how fucked up this game is that things that somebody notices or can notice or should notice sometimes goes unnoticed. And when it's spoken on, it's one of those things that we can finally come together as a black male voice and put the pieces together, put the pieces of the puzzle together, so that we're not just out here, floundering and doing what we do. And I know you can, see me. I'm not showing my face in this particular video, just because I feel like it distracts a little bit from, the actual point. Because motherfuckers will watch the video and be like, oh shit, like, why this motherfucker ain't showing his face? Why this? Why that? And yeah, I'm moving shit around, trying to get things right. But it is what it is. Like I said, I have a method to the madness, and if you definitely want to see my face, there's other videos out there where that shit damn does happen. And in the future, that'll definitely be part of the platform as well. So getting that bullshit out the way, because I've had people ask that shit before. And I'm sitting there acting like a lot of people can watch the shit. Hopefully they do, so this message can, kind of broadcast through and get out there. But let's get down to it. I took care of all that stuff. It's almost like church, you know what I mean? First, when you walk in there, you're like, to the esteemed pastor, so and so, to the deacon board, to the usher board, to the gospel choir. Sing so beautiful, don't you agree? So now that I shout out all the YouTubers out there that's doing anything that I respect, not all by name, obviously, but you know what I mean. Those that are doing anything, they definitely know what they do. Like Thinking Man's Templar, yo, my man, you really doing your thing. Solo TV, still need to holler at you, bro. You know what I mean. And even Tommy Sotomayor, I know that his name is, kind of a fiery thing. And if you say this nigga name, this man might damn come after you. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? So back to the point. Y'all clicked in because you want to know where's the perfect age to motherfucking get married. All right. Let's look at this from this particular perspective. All right. If you look at what worked, it usually was, and I'm giving the answer way early. You know what I mean? If you look at what worked, it usually was high school sweethearts. Dude may have went off to the military. Maybe he went off to college. Maybe she went off to college as well too. I mean, that was later on, but I'm talking about before. And then he would come back and, make it happen, make it do what it do, lock it down and continue to move it. Now, obviously, things have changed dramatically. And some for the better, some for the worse. But when it comes down to marriage, it's actually for the worse, unfortunately. And I'm not going to be one of them dudes that's just go, automatically blame feminism. But let's be honest, that shit really has corrupted the minds of a lot of young women and old alike, obviously, to the point to where you can't really even have a simple conversation without something being tossed up. It's almost like, for example, a person that's juvenile to a certain extent, obviously, or just have a dirty mind. No matter what you say, sometimes it can be translated or transferred into something sexual. You know what I mean? they'll find any loophole to be like, see, you said loophole, you know what I mean? Like shit like that, you know what I mean? And there's people that will hear what they want to hear. And obviously, that is usually the people that you're trying to reach and trying to educate and trying to, at least open their minds up to a different frame of thought. But unfortunately, those are the stubborn ones. I apologize for all the pauses, but that's probably why. You know what I mean? But and we have this, culture now, obviously, to where it is cool to, I guess, sow your wild oats. You know what I mean? As people would say. I mean, it used to be sow your royal oats. So, I mean, that was only reserved for royalty. But since everybody's a king and a queen now, I guess, you know what I mean? I guess that means that people should act accordingly as well. So you're out there sowing your royal oats. You know what I mean? And really that is for men, but women have adapted that. And it is translated to what we currently know as a hot girl summer. You know what I mean? Let's just stick with the current. We can go through the years of the phrases and the slang and how things have changed, but hey, that's just what it is right now. It's a hot girl summer. That's the way these women are living, and they believe that they should live this way. And to be honest, that shit is just not conducive. So if you're going through the regular routine, the rigmarole, and you on that shit like, all right, I'm going to graduate high school, whatever. I'm going to go to college or whatever. I'm going to fuck with whoever I want to fuck with in college. Maybe a football player, maybe a frat dude, maybe just a normal dude. Might be an older dude that just lives in that city that you happen to go to college at. You know what I mean? It might be a D-boy. It might be, you know what I mean, some nigga off the street. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It might be a military dude. I can't cover all bases. Who knows? You deal with dudes in college after high school, you know what I mean? But more than likely, you had a boyfriend in high school who actually truly loved you, you know what I mean? Someone who knew you and actually saw you grow up to a certain extent. Because let's just say that you just went to high school with a brother. Like, you done seen who she been with, you done seen who she hang with, you done seen, what neighborhood she possibly live in, all these different like things that you might even see her mama once or twice, or her daddy once or twice. You might play ball with her brother. You might, you know what I mean? Like these are these bonds that actually make for a strong relationship that actually can, turn into a marriage. But instead, we sever those bonds and sever those ties, and we've adapted the European American model of dating and getting married, which is, for a woman's sake, obviously, and even for the man. Like everybody was trying to marry up or date up, you know what I mean? Everybody was on that hypergamy shit. Like you get bum ass white dudes, European American dudes that'll fucking see somebody, a daughter of the heiress to some kind of, company or whatever. This motherfucker ain't worth two shits. But he'll marry that bitch, and then now all of a sudden he's into a lucrative company that now, after the dad dies or the brother dies or something, that motherfucker's ahead of this shit now. And the woman, she's just marrying to marry. Obviously, she's not marrying up, but she's at least marrying to marry. Now, obviously, the traditional way that shit usually goes is a woman is, pretty much pimped out. Back in the day, obviously, pimped out. And that's using the term very loosely. She's actually, honestly, let's be honest and real with the shit. She's honestly given away to a worthy dude in a worthy family in exchange for, some kind of dowry. That's how it worked in some places, you know what I mean? But once again, the European American model version was more or less just like, all right, shit. If you ain't shit, your goal should be to marry into something. It's not about love. It's not about connection. It's all about business moves. That marriage is a business fucking proposal. That's the European American model. And if you haven't figured that shit out yet, being a black man in this country, a so-called black man, maybe, of a different descent, or possibly a different tribe, if you hip to that, you know what I mean? But you can't sit here and say like that's the model that we need to follow, because we seen how that shit go down. You know what I mean? If we look at the European American model, we seen how that shit go down. Multiple marriages and divorces and marriages and divorces and stepkids and these, put together families and all kinds of shit like that, man. Like that's not honestly the model that works. But yet somehow in our community we've adapted that because obviously we didn't have our own, but we had an opportunity to establish our own. And even if we had to play by the same rules as far as legally, we still established our own traditions and our own culture towards it and our own, set of standards and rules and regulations, you know what I mean? And somehow we got away from that because at a certain point in time, everybody wanted to do what they wanted to do and wanted to emulate the European Americans. And that shit, like I said, turned into a failure. We ended up having the same shit happen to us. You know what I mean? High divorce rates, stepchildren here and there. On top of the motherfucking damn children out of wedlock situation that damn happens in our community at a higher rate. You know what I mean? So you tackle that and add that on top of it. No wonder, at least in these days and times, it don't seem like there's a perfect time to get married. But I propose the perfect time to get married is still when you're young, when both of y'all don't have shit, when you know her family maybe. She know your family for the most part, you know what I mean? Maybe y'all didn't go to the same school, don't go to the same high school or whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe y'all just know each other from around town. You could still do that, you know what I mean? You could still know who that person is. It's not like a complete stranger. It's a stranger, but it ain't a complete stranger, you know what I mean? Like you have a background, You have people looking out for you at the beginning because obviously when you first start dating, your mama want to meet the person, your daddy want to meet the person. You know what I mean? And that shit goes completely out the window when you grown because now you in charge of all of that shit. You know what I mean? You have to make that decision. You know what I mean? Obviously, you might bring the person around your family, but by that time, y'all boy probably done fuck a few times and you might be pregnant already. So, you know what I mean? That's a whole nother fucking situation that you can't even really speak on or talk about too much because it's like you ain't let your family meet them when you just first met them too. You know what I mean? To gauge they fucking damn shit. And that whole meeting the family after you date a motherfucker for a while, and that's supposed to make the shit official. That's some backwards ass shit. I mean, let's be honest. That's backwards. Like the people that you care about their opinions. If you care about their opinion, but that's another thing, unfortunately, that happens is the fact that black families and homes are pitted against each other, sister on sister, mother against daughter, you know, father against son. I mean, these times were talked about in the Bible, but I'm not here to be spiritual at the particular moment. I'm just talking about marriage, even though that is a spiritual thing, and I will get into that in just a second. But so we allow ourselves to believe that we should, you know, establish ourselves, sow our royal oats, you know, because once again, we're all kings and queens, right? You motherfuckers. So, like, you're supposed to go out there and do this. You're supposed to have your experiences. You ain't supposed to just settle in for the first dick that you ride or the first, you know, piece of pussy that you put your dick in. I get that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to marry a virgin, apparently. I guess that's the standard now. You know what I mean? Like you want your wife to be able to do all kinds of nasty shit, but you disregarding like how she learned how to do all that nasty shit. You ain't teach her. You know what I mean? And once again, that's another one of the benefits. And I know I'm going back and forth with this shit, but that's another one of the benefits of marrying early on. And when I say the perfect time, and I just mean like after high school, young adulthood, just being legal enough to drink, you know what I mean? And maybe a little bit past that, maybe graduate from college. And once again, that's the video that made me think about this shit is when Jada Black just did a video not too long ago, like just today actually. And it was about this dude that proposed to his girlfriend at her graduation, and she was graduating with a master's in whatever the fuck. And I don't know what he does or whatever the case might be. It was just him speaking on the outrage that came from feminists because they felt like he was stealing her shine or stealing her moment. And I mean, for argument's sake, that's a pretty basic assessment of what happened. You know what I mean? And that's just for argument's sake. You know what I mean? Because any other time, you know, marriages are, you know what I mean, celebrated, proposals are celebrated, creative ways to propose are celebrated, they go viral every year, you know what I mean? So it's not like people aren't happy to see people propose and, you know, start their lives together. But apparently angry bitches get mad about that shit. And I get that. Excuse me, some angry women get mad about that shit. I can't be calling women bitches. That's terrible. Even if they act like it, you still can't call them that. And see, those are some of the rules that it's hard to navigate sometimes. You know what I mean? But anywho, after she graduates, a man proposes. That should be the perfect time. That's an example of the perfect time to go ahead and start your life together. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit past the time limit I personally was given it, but that seems to be it. But once again, that was European Americans. They apparently set the standard and set the bar. You know what I mean? So if that happens for them, I guess it should happen in the black community. But one thing I would, you know, hesitate and ease up on that is the simple fact that unfortunately when a black man or a black woman gets educated, gets a college degree, maybe even a master's, there's something that switches and changes in these Negroes, man. And it's sometimes not pretty. And I get it. It's all that time spent studying and away from just regular behavior. And there's no, one way to be black, obviously, but there's just still a certain air that comes with, what I mean, being educated. And it makes it a little bit more difficult at that point in time to then say, like, okay, well, now let me look for a partner, because now your partner, you would want them on your same level or above. And in the female standpoint, from the female standpoint, and that right there just makes it way difficult when her perfect match, honestly, was some dude that, she was dating way back then. And her pursuit of her success, honestly, could have motivated this particular guy. And if it didn't, then you have to find in that time frame someone to share that kind of experience with. And that's another thing that I'm advocating for people that are the perfect time to get married, is at a younger age, like I said, early 20s, young adulthood, is because now you get to share experiences together. You get to kind of go through certain life struggles together, and that will should make the bond way tighter. But everybody wants the finished product, and the finished product in any person's eyes is always going to be unachievable. Whether you male or female, like, that shit is just fucking unachievable. If you want the perfect bitch, that bitch don't exist. If you want the perfect dude, that dude probably don't exist. And if they do exist, they're already married. They're already happy together. And if they're not happy, then maybe you get a cheating one that's your perfect match. And do you really want that? You really want to start your relationship off like, okay, well, he picked me over the other bro, but he had to cheat on her for that. Some situations it works, I get that, but I don't know. That's really, see, once again, once you get later on in them years, you get so many other fucking hurdles and obstacles that come in, and so much baggage, to where marriage ain't as appealing, number one, for a dude. And if he is appealing for a dude, this motherfucker is looking for younger, because he knows that he can share experiences with her. And another thing, unfortunately, that comes from trying to marry later on in life and shit, or after you done sold your wild oats or you done did your fucking thing, is you probably got kids. And there ain't nothing wrong with kids. I ain't gonna lie about that shit. Ain't not a damn thing wrong with kids, but it does make it a little bit more difficult for a person to get married after having kids. One, still doable. Two is really pushing the line, obviously. Three or more is typically a deal breaker for most people to get married to you, unless they have just as many. And that's what I'm saying. Like, two peas of a pod, but you just can't expect that type of shit to be the perfect time really to get married. Like, after you done had kids and after you done been ran through to a certain extent, is that really the perfect time to get married? Maybe for a woman, obviously, because you done, had all her fun and shit. But for a dude, even if you done had your fun too, you have to really weigh the options on that shit. You really have to weigh the options on that shit, because, man, I'll tell you this, the single life in this day and age is way more appealing than being in a relationship. Motherfuckers don't sell marriage anymore, you know what I mean? And that's why even if you get married at a young age in today's time, it's still the best time. But even in today's time, there will still be that temptation to be like in friends and other people that say, like, hey, you can be having way more fun if you are single. And that is true. I'm pretty sure that is true to a certain extent, depending on what your definition of fun is. If your definition of fun is just like going on some trips sometime, going out sometime, watching a movie or some shit, you can be married. But if your idea of fun is fucking different people, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be getting married. Just saying. Like, I don't know why people mince words or why people dance around shit, so much. I know I do it. I'm a tap dancing motherfucker. I usually beat around the bush. And even with this particular topic, I'm semi beating around the bush, but it's not really beating around the bush. I'm trying to cover all bases and trying to maybe see things from different angles while I'm speaking on it. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, well, maybe it is true. Maybe you should just go out, have some experiences. You know what I mean? Get some shit under your belt, get the shit out your system, as motherfuckers like to say. But do you really get that shit out your system? Or do you just get addicted to it and that's your usual and that's, your normal? Because your normal is what, you establish in, your early days. Motherfuckers are creatures of habit. Not saying people can't change, but if you used to going out every night and now your nights are spent at home with one person or maybe one person and some kids, that might be a drastic change that motherfuckers might not be ready for and can't really prepare for it, but they say they do because culturally we put pressure on people to do things at certain times. And that's what I'm saying. Culturally, right now, the pressure is to go out there, have your fun in your 20s, get all your education, get all your money up, do whatever you need to do. And then in your 30s, that's when you should, start settling down and get married and have a family and this, that, and the third. That's what they tell the motherfuckers. But the reason why that shit don't work is because of all the shit you did in your 20s. Now, obviously, there's some stand-up people. There's some people that are just unattractive. There's some people that, are just socially awkward. Maybe there's some people that, really have been living under a fucking rock. And they haven't got out there and they're now, all they did was work and go to school and do their thing. Kept their nose to the ground, did everything the right way, and now they're looking for it because that's what they were told to do. And they find that the only thing out there, and I'm talking about men and women, male and female, the only thing out there is, a bunch of baggage. Maybe good people, but just a bunch of baggage. And now, obviously, the decision is on that person to say, well, I'll take this up, I'll take that up, when all of that baggage could have been accumulated together to that certain point. You know what I mean? And obviously, I could deal with that shit because I helped you get through that shit. You could deal with that shit because you helped me get through that shit. We had kids. We done seen our kids grow. We done had a good time while we were still in our 20s. We're in our 30s. Our kids are almost, there. Maybe we have a couple more kids. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just seems like, obviously, in the perfect world, perfect situation, which is why I titled it at the perfect time, that shit would go smoothly. You know what I mean? Follow me on this one real quick because I don't know if I made it a complete thought. You may have a high school sweetheart. Maybe y'all dated all 4 years. Maybe you just met her in high school or during your high school years. You both go off to college. You both stay in touch. You both still date. You both still do whatever. And at some point in time before you both graduate from college, you both have a plan together and you both agree like this is the perfect time. You know what I mean? And maybe in that time period right there is where you might have your fun. There might be a couple breakups. There might be a couple situations where, yeah, she did suck and fuck another dude. Yes, you did, fuck another broad. It's fine. There ain't no counting bodies, Maybe you should be that honest to go into a marriage, obviously, but ain't no counting bodies. Everybody did their little thing. Okay, fine. We get together after graduation and kind of like what I was talking about earlier with that video, you propose right after graduation. That boy graduated, you're starting your life together, and that's the perfect time. You know what I mean? You both have a plan. She has her education, you have your education. And even if she didn't go to college, or if she went to college and you went to the military, or if you went to the military and she just, started her own business or some shit. I mean, there's variations, obviously, but the whole point is that there was a little time separated to where both people can explore and see, like, nah, ain't nobody like the one I got. And maybe they do get turned. That's fine. Maybe you do meet your person after that. You know what I mean? That's why there should be that little time. But a decision needs to be made early on for it to be successful. But In these days and times, I don't really think that I have to continue to reiterate that, even though that might be the perfect scenario in my particular mind, my particular opinion, that still probably won't make it because that will occur so many other hurdles later on, like I say, in the 20s and 30s, and after the kids are grown, then, because that's what we're seeing right now. All the kids grown, and now there's a whole bunch of like 40 and 50-year-old motherfuckers newly single. Because now they finally discovered the internet, you know what I mean? And obviously, these people probably been aching to fucking get away for a while, but that's usually that time period where you stick it out because obviously it's not about sex. But when is it not about sex, I guess? And I joke, but no. And I mean, it's usually about sex and resources. And the good thing about technology and the good thing about advancing and progressing in mankind and culture and stuff like that is that the more convenience a culture has, there's no more real struggle. It starts to be manufactured struggle, and that's what we're seeing in these days and time. Now, this is starting to become just, social commentary. But when you see that shit happening, and you see the change of the guard, and you see, when I say change of the guard, I mean that there's no more real struggle or something to strive for to a certain degree because we're all comfortable. And now, like I said, we're creating certain shit just to be mad about and disrupting, things that work just because we can. Just because we can. Because we think that, we're going to be that exception to the rule. And there's nothing wrong with trying to think that you're the exception to the rule when you're trying to start a small business or you're going back to school after a long layoff or, you're trying to get in shape after not working out in a long time, things like that, like, yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Trying to find a way to figure this shit out, which is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. Fleshing some ideas out. Someone hears it, agrees, and likes, that's fine. But the perfect time. All right. So let's flip the script since I continue to add that, disclaimer or add that little extra part about, in these times, like I'm fucking 100 years old and shit. But, in the day that we living in, though, the time that we living in, the perfect time, outside of that, utopian type of scenario I picked, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but anyway, that perfect scenario I ain't pitched about going to college and doing this and doing that, and they just so in love that they had, like, it sounds like a fucking script to a movie. And I know that I'm not being honest because I continue to see where the hurdles will be in that particular situation. So, all right, maybe I'll readjust. Let's say that the perfect time to get married is 45, which still gives some of these women hope. Obviously, if you haven't had a kid yet, just might not be for you. But at 45, you would think that everybody, both parties, have gotten all of that shit out their system. All of it. Or maybe at least most of it. In these days and time. So 45, after both parties have probably had kids, the kids grown, they meet up together, the man or the woman has established something or still trying to really build on something that they put some work into in the early years. and you come together with a goal of mine that says like, look, I don't want to die alone. You don't want to die alone. I think you sexy. Hey, you think I'm sexy. All right, hey, your kid's grown, my kid's grown. You know what I mean? I like doing this. You like doing this. You know what I mean? Like, hey. So honestly, about 45 now in the black community might be. Like I said, when you think about it, you just be like, well, as a dude at least, you're not really in it for just the sport of it. And when I say just for the sport of it, I mean you ain't in it for the pussy really. You're doing it for other reasons, which is actually back to the more dignified way of trying to pick a wife anyway. Shouldn't be just about the pussy, but at some point in time, it really just was like, yo, you fertile? Yeah, let's do this. You know what I mean? But there was so many other factors in that shit that it makes it almost silly to compare. But yeah, about 40 something, you know what I mean? Because once again, everybody done at least tried and failed, done did something that they proud of, did something they ain't proud of. You know what I mean? Like at that point in time, it should really truly be about at least a bond. It should be something realer than, you know what I mean, whatever. And maybe that's some hope for, you know what I mean, some women out there. Maybe your time just hasn't come yet. Because obviously, you know, but that's the thing though. I mean, the standard has to be a regular dude. I keep, I guess, thinking in this particular scenario that the man in the picture is just a regular dude when obviously that's not going to get, really married off to any kind of anything really. You have to be a little bit more higher quality, obviously, have some resources, have some things going on. So yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from the regular man perspective, but reality always kicks in at some point in time during the fantasy. And you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? Especially at 45, these women are looking to be taken care of. They've been struggling and broke their whole life. They ain't trying to build with anybody. And honestly, that's the key word I want to use and have anything taken away from this whole long ass discussion. Is that if you marry young, obviously you have a chance to actually build with somebody. It's ridiculous, this premise. 40-year-old women are trying to build with a man now. Like, what the fuck? No, you're trying to jump in on something that's already kind of been established. And if you're still ready to build, good for you. You are a good woman, not talking about you. But, most of the time it's not really about that shit. And we can be honest about that. We can be honest about that. But hey, I think I've kind of rambled a little bit. Go ahead and close it off. But to everyone that watches, listens, hope we have a good one. And oh yeah, if you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll let your boy there. Yep.